Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to the second race here at Falkenberg Motorbana. And well, I'm excited for this one. Once again, with me in the commentary booth is Fredrik Lestrup, co-founder of the series. And like I said, I'm excited for this, Fredrik, because what a race one we've had.
I mean, race one exceeded all of our expectations. I think we had it all. We even have a red flag. We had cars off, cars stuck in the gravel trap. We had a winner. We had overtakes. It was really exciting.
This track then, before we get to the formation lap for the drivers, which they have to do in the pit speed limiter, 1.8 kilometers long, and this is one for the spectators. I have to say, a great track, a short track though. The shortest track I think we go to this season, with only 1.8 kilometers, like I just said, and I get one for the spectators, located in the southwest coast of Sweden.
Yeah, it's one of the best tracks of the year in Sweden, I think. It's on the west coast. We're far away from here, actually. I always say we have good weather here, and it seems to be the case today as well. Turn 1, Turn 2, Turn 3 has a great spectator area. There's even jumping castles for the kids here this weekend. Have you been there?
No, not yet.
There's nothing for you, Dan.
Might do after the race, though.
So yeah, we love the track, we love the area, and it's a great place for us to have our first ever NXT Gen Cup race weekend.
Yeah, well, we know that also close to the sea the weather can change very quickly, but as far as I know there's no rain in the area, so we will have two dry races. As we can see the cars with the hazard lights blinking, that is to indicate that they are in the pit speed limiter. Like I said, they have to do the formation lap in the pit speed limiter. They can warm the track. Here are all the fans. There are also the jumping castles for the kids out there. Yeah, looks cool. I have to visit.
Yeah, we have to do it after the race. I had my family here yesterday. They had a great time jumping in the castles. They were super happy. They also had a great time in our tent setup, obviously, on the grass, the small bikes. I never remember what they're called. You know what they're called.
The Skelters.
Skelters,
the Hankook Skelters, of course, our official tyre supplier for this series. Talking about the last race, though, we have a result which is very important for this second race. It was Elias Adestam who won ahead of Linus Grundfors, and Oscar Pedersen finished the podium off. Then it was Ellis Spezia in P4 ahead of Enzo Holman in P5 in the number 7. Alex Gustafsson in P6, the hometown hero, Alexander Christensen in P7 ahead of Theo Jernberg in P8. Siri Högfeldt finished 9th ahead of the second woman in the series, Louise Larsen. Mons Thalin in 11th. Graham Hofmans in 12th. Good race for him. Most position gained in that race by Graham Hofmans, 4 in total. Sebastian Kinmark finished 13th. Jonathan Engström in 14th. That was one that I expected with his starting position to finish higher up the order. He started 10th in that race, lost 4. Philip Bartos finished 15th. 16th was Isaac Arvidsson, and Katie Turner, third girl in the series. And then Victor Nielsen in P18. We saw him having that spin, high-speed corner. He was stuck in the gravel, couldn't get out. And if you can't get out under your own power, you're out of the race.
Exactly. You're not allowed to participate anymore. And I spoke to Victor a little bit after the race, and obviously super disappointed. He was fighting for the lead of the race, actually, and he told me he tried to bring a little bit more speed. He was trail braking far into the corner, had too much rear brake then, obviously, and he accidentally spun the car, couldn't correct the slide.
Well, so easily done. And also, most of these drivers haven't got any experience in a front-wheel drive car. And if you've got experience in a rear-wheel drive car, what your mind will do once you get a snap of oversteer is lift off the power, which is something that in a front-wheel drive car is the opposite of what you need to do. The best thing to do would be to just floor it and just countersteer, right?
I mean, you're absolutely right, Dan. That's exactly the way to do it. It's easy to say. It's more difficult to do if you have it in the backbone to just lift the throttle. So
they have what, like a split second, like 1,000th of a second to decide that?
You have to react very quickly. He tried to do, I mean, he's learning. It's definitely something he will put in his experience bank. And next time he has a slide, we hopefully will see him with a full throttle instead, spinning the wheels.
I mean, it's something so different to what he was used to. So, yeah, of course, Elias Adestam starting P8 in this race. We have a reversed grid, so a reversed top 8. We'll get to that grid once we get underway with the formation lap. But coming through the field, of course, is a completely different game to starting at the front. Of course, started pole position for that last race. Green flag is out though, so the drivers will be able to now go out on grid. There is a door open though on one of the cars that needs to be closed before they can go out. I think that's going to be done by one of the mechanics. You can see Patrick, the race leader, out there in pit lane as well. The car's out onto the track now in the pit speed limiter, doing their warm-up lap, weaving from left to right, trying to warm up the tires. Something that we will get to now is the starting grid for this race, which will be in first place, Theo Jernberg. He has a great starting position for this second race, ahead of Alexander Christensen, the hometown hero, born and raised in Falkenberg, and he will start from the front row. Alex Gustafsson will start from third. Fourth will start Enzo Holman. Then fifth, Ellis Spezia. Oscar Pedersen in P6. Seventh, Linus Granfors. And eighth, Elias Adestam. Ninth, Siri Högfeldt ahead of Louise Larsen in 10th. They just missed out on that reverse grid. Then in 11th, Mons Thalin. Graham Hoffmans will start the race in 12th. 13th, Sebastian Kinmark ahead of Jonathan Engström, P14. Philip Bartos in 15th. 16th, Isaac Arvidsson. 17th, Katie Turner, and Victor Nielsen. Keep an eye out for him in that number 50 at the back of the grid. He will try to make his way forward, and I think he's going to provide us with some amazing overtakes.
I think he has a lot of job to do now to catch up and get as much points as he can. There were starting position for Victor, but he showed very good speed in the test days and also in race 1, so I'm pretty confident he will climb a little bit. So just like the first race, the drivers are now trying to get some temperature into the brakes, into the tires. They have now one race of experience, so already they are learning more and more. Let's see who can use this the best. We saw also in race 1, a lot of the drivers saved the push to pass to the last few laps.
Yeah, and a lot of the drivers actually didn't use one of their push to passes. So something that they have to go about tactically. There we see our mini safety car once again, of course debuted in Formula E. We've talked about that already, but talking about that push to pass, it's so important to get it right, because if you get it wrong and you use it too early, you're in trouble.
Exactly, and here you can see in the green Verena de Biel car, Alexander Christiansen, the hometown hero, starting from P2. Obviously he was the quickest at first practice yesterday, so he clearly needs redemption from race 1.
I mean, in race 1 he was at some point, he was up in P4. After that, dropped down. There he is, the hometown hero, the number 27, Alexander Christiansen. He'll be looking to do what he did in race 1, and that's just keep everyone that was behind him and gain at least one position, because how cool would it be to win your home race? But the mini safety car will disappear in front of the field. It will go back into pit lane. There it is.
It's a beautiful car, isn't it?
Yes,
it's a beautiful car. So designing all the NXT Gen Cup cars, obviously we used a little bit of the design of the safety car. It's beautiful, the wheel arches, the rims, and as we've said before, we have 2 female drivers this weekend.
Yes.
Supplying us with really good safety car driving. So Matilda is the driver. She's a former go-kart driver actually. So maybe we should put her in one of the race cars at one point.
Yes, well, why not? You know, go for it. Maybe we'll see a new winner. Here we go, though. Theo Jernberg starting from pole position at the front of the field. Can someone stop Elias Adestam this weekend from taking every competitive session that he has done so far? We're waiting on the 5 red lights to come onto the gantry. The drivers are waiting for it as well. And we see the 7 of Enzo Holman. He had a good race. He had contact with Ellis Spezia that he was alongside with right now. Oscar Pedersen in the 26 as well. Then Linus Granfors in the 3 behind that. And there we have him, Elias Adestam, winner in that Varta yellow car in the number 8. So waiting now. The green flag is up. 5 seconds to go. There we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Top of the screen. It's lights out and away we go for the second race here at Falkenberg. A good start though from the 27 of Alexander Christensen, and the hometown hero immediately jumps up into P1. That's exactly the start he was hoping for. Enzo Holman round the outside as well. He has to clear him though. That inside is powerful going into turn 3. There's contact. Theo Jernberg, a calamity of a start for him. That's not what he was hoping for, and he has to fight back through the field. He was hoping to stay at the front though, Frederick. He hasn't managed to do so, and it's Enzo Holman who is behind now Alexander Christensen, the hometown hero.
Enzo Holman clearly did a good start as well, and Ellis is up there, Oscar Pedersen is up there. Not sure where Elias Adestam is in the positions, but clearly the guys have gained a few positions in the first corners. A shame for Theo Jörnberg. He was doing such a good job, getting a good launch, getting first into the corner 1. Obviously now a bit back in the pack.
Answer to the question from Elias Arestam. He's in P6, it seems like right now. He's right behind Sebastian, I think. And Oscar Pedersen right in front of that as well, defending that inside. It was so important. We saw it being done by Elias Arestam last time round, and Alexander Christensen is going to do exactly the same. It's all around the outside. There goes a winner from race 1. Elias Arestam has to take to the escape road, and that's going to lose him a lot of time though. Has to give up some positions, joins back into the race behind Louise Larsson, but the fight for P1 is as good as it has ever been. It is Ellis Spezia who's got past Enzo Holman. That attack from Enzo Holman had him vulnerable though to Ellis Spezia, who was looking behind him, and that has put Ellis Spezia up into P2. The American was eager to get back underway after that first race, finishing 4th right there to the outside though of Alexander Christensen into the last corner. Is he going to make it stick though? This is what he needs. He wants that inside though for the first corner.
Will they use push to pass? We don't really know. And Enzo Holman is on the inside.
It's 3 wide. Contact between Ellis Spezia and Alexander Christensen. A 3 wide moment there between the two. Alexander Christensen edges out ahead before they go into the chicane. They're 2 wide. Enzo Holman might get to P1 here. That inside is powerful going down into turn 3, and he gets it. Ellis Spezia gets through as well. The hometown hero Alexander Christensen down into P3 now. Oscar Pedersen behind that, having to defend from Alex Gustafsson in the number 5. Well, number 19, excuse me.
Alex Gustafsson is coming from Rallycross, so being on tarmac is new for him. He's doing a great job in the STFG car mechanics school car. He's getting quicker and quicker actually. We've seen him progress over the weekend. Obviously Ellis Spezia now tries to find a good way past Enzo Holman.
Here we go. This is that moment from Elias Arestam. Had to take to the escape road. Now look on the left-hand side of the screen. There you can see the 51 of Louise Larsson rejoining the race. We're back to live pictures though. And Enzo Holman actually has got a bit of a gap though to Ellis Spezia. Is that because of the use of push to pass? I think what Enzo is trying to do now is create a bit of a gap of at least a second to try and get away from Ellis Spezia. Try and get Ellis out of that toe, which is so important. Oscar Pedersen on the back of hometown hero Alexander Christensen. Here we see, is this the 47? No, it's the 16. That is Mons Tallinn, who's into pit lane. We see some tire rubber on the side of that door. Has there been contact? Don't really know the reason that he's in, but it seems like he has some damage.
Looks like he had some damage on the left front side, and obviously the steering looks a little bit bent. So Enzo Holman keeps extending the gap a little bit. He has half a second down to Ellis Spezia. Then we have another half second down to Alexander Christensen, the hometown hero.
This is not helping anyone that is trying to come through the field. Good start though for Louise Larsson. She's up into P8, had a good fight last race with Siri Högfeldt. A quickest lap of the race though, 52.780 from Enzo Holman. Quickest lap time last time round was set by the man that has just defended Alexander Christensen, the hometown hero. That was a 52.485 by Ellis Spezia. Here we're going to go to the replay. Once again, Elias Arestam. There you can see left-hand side, Louise Larsson. And there's the 16. There's the contact with Mons Tallinn rejoining the track. And well, that is a rookie error there, rejoining the track from Elias Arestam. Let's hope his car is okay though. But yeah, a bit eager to get back going again. And sadly, that has put Mons Tallinn out of the race.
That's a shame. As you rejoin the track from the escape road, you have to leave room for the cars on the track. So clearly that's on Adestam's fault, having that collision. So let's see what the race director is doing, if there will be a penalty issued or not. So this is bad news for Elias Adestam, obviously.
Now look on the left-hand side, Victor Nielsen, P11, up 7 positions from where he started. In the back of shot, there he is, trying to make his way through. Has now got a little bit of a gap up to, I think, the 2 of Graham Hoffmans. Of course, there's Sebastian Kinmark, looks up a bit. Here we have that lead group though. It is more timid though than race 1 was. The field is stretched out a bit. Ellis Spezia is going to try to catch up to Enzo Holman, but it seems like whatever Enzo Holman tried with either push to pass or just on pure pace is working. There we see a gutted Mons Tallinn. He's out of the race, out of the car. That means that he will not be rejoining. Looking at that damage at the left front, gutted for Mons Tallinn.
Really impressive lap times by Enzo Holman at the moment. He's the only driver under 53 seconds, and he's clearly pulling away. So Alexander Christensen has a problem. He's slowing down.
Oh no. The hometown hero, this is not the race that he was hoping for. Starting from the front row, and he is slowing down. And the lights have switched back on, so I think he's regained some of the power that was lost, but
not sure what the issue is. Maybe a puncture, we don't know yet. So let's hope it's nothing major. Obviously, he's lost all the positions now. Elias Adestam is still up there driving, running. We haven't heard anything from race control regarding the rejoining of the track.
No.
And here we have Alexander Christensen really, really angry, obviously, in the car.
Yeah, I think you could see some shaking of the helmet, some slamming of the steering wheel. Of course, we know that at his home track, you want to perform, you want to be up there. He was up there for unknown reasons. Now is out of this race. There we see Elias Adestam making the move the inside of Louise Larsson. Gets that move done into the last corner. There was almost some contact between the two. Next one, the list of Elias Adestam in that Varta car is Siri Högfeldt. She has gotten up into P6. A great race though for Siri Högfeldt. So it is for Louise Larsson, making some progress up the inside though. Almost contact. Louise Larsson had some problems yesterday with the brakes. Didn't like it, was too far backwards. The same we saw there, looking up into turn one. That braking issue is something that she has to get comfortable with the whole weekend.
She was clearly locking the front wheels this time, so maybe she's adjusted the brake balance too far to the front. So it's all up to the driver's liking. Do you want more rearward brake or forward brake? And clearly that was either a late braking or too much brake bias to the front. So she has a lever inside the car where she can actually adjust this while driving. So if she's quick enough now, she might be able to adjust that to improve the braking for the next hard braking in turn one.
Now these two are breaking away a bit. Ellis Spietzias caught up last time round to Enzo Holman. This time round though, it seems like a 10th gain. This is side by side between Alex Gustafsson and the trio of Linus Gransforst. Of course, finished on the podium last time round. There's a take to the escape road though. And Alex Gustafsson is rally crossing in the Next Gen Cup. This is not what he would have wanted though. Doesn't lose too much time. Gets out ahead of Elias Adestam, which was important. The 50 of Victor Nielsen coming through the field as well. That was the 4 of Theo Jernberg he just overtook. And remember, Theo Jernberg started at the front. Louise Larsson getting bullied out really by the 47. And well, she has lost a couple of positions now. And the 21 of Siri Högfeldt holding her own though in P7. That was the 47 of Jonathan Engström, of course, son of former race winner in STCC Thomas Engström. So he clearly has someone who can provide him with good information about front-wheel drive cars.
I have the feeling that we see a lot of drivers now starting to push their limits a little bit more than they did in race one. So obviously being cautious, the first race ever for a lot of these drivers, and now they're pushing the braking markers, trying to gain speed, making mistakes obviously.
Victor Nielsen going for another one. Victor Nielsen up the inside of Theo Jernberg. This is actually Theo Jernberg coming back at Victor Nielsen. And he isn't successful now. He's under pressure though from the 47 of Jonathan Engström. But I think through this section it's pretty much going to be single file. This is impressive though from the 50 of Victor Nielsen. Is in P8 right now. Has gained 10 positions in this race. Really, really impressive. He said before the race to me he was aiming for a top 5. Now he has a bit of a gap though to Siri Högfeldt up in P7. It is still Enzo Holman leading the way. It's 8 tenths now to Ellis Spiezia. Then Oscar Pedersen in P3. 1.2 seconds back on Ellis Spiezia. So the gaps are a bit more apparent though in race 2. It isn't quite as chaotic as we saw in race 1, but the racing has been great nonetheless. The 4 of Theo Jernberg defending the insides on Jonathan Engström. A bit of a lock up there from Siri Högfeldt. That will allow the 50 of Victor Nielsen to get even closer, to just edge closer. It's a slow process though for Victor Nielsen. He isn't a second or two quicker a lap or something, so it's going to be painstakingly slow. He needs to try and keep that consistency, because what we know is that if you push the tires a little bit too hard maybe at the beginning, then you have to cool them down for a lap and you're about 6-7 tenths slower, and after that though right back into the window. So these Hankook tires providing the drivers with enough grip to race. Once again Elias Adestam going forward, and Alex Gustafsson this time. We saw Alex Gustafsson had that off moment down on the turn 1, had to take to the escape road. Due to that is now under pressure from the number 8 previous race winner, who also had to take to the escape road, of course. So he's going to try the outside. The inside though, sold in the dummy, brakes late, and that is what you want to see. Elias Adestam gains that position, and Alexander Gustafsson, and up into P5 he goes. So top 5 for Elias Adestam again, but he's made it so much more difficult for himself to try and get up into that podium again. And we asked ourselves before the race, who's going to stop Elias Adestam from winning? But it might have been Elias Adestam himself. By that little bit of a mistake, you can see the mirror on the right-hand side also hanging off a bit, so you won't be able to see anything on the right-hand side mirror. Also, the gap for the lead, though, has come down to about 0.4 of a second between Ellis Spezia and Enzo Holman. Now, is there push to pass left for either Enzo Holman, Ellis Spezia? That's something we do not know. Here is the battle, though, for the lead. Ellis Spezia is going to try it around the outside. Has to watch out, though. You're putting yourself in the penalty spot if you go around the outside. Manages to go through quickly. Slots back in behind Enzo Holman again, but he's there, keeping him honest, putting him under pressure. Different lines, though, from the both of the drivers. Enzo Holman taking a later apex than Ellis Spezia, keeping it a bit tighter through turn 4.
I'm pretty sure Ellis used the push to pass to gain. He was 0.6 behind Enzo the lap behind, the previous lap, then it was 0.4 behind, and then suddenly in his rear bumper. So I think Ellis has used one of his push to pass, and he will choose wisely now when he decides to use the last push to pass to go for the lead.
You can see, though, what this does, because both of those two have been fighting. Oscar Pettersson finished on the podium as well last time round.
And he uses his push to pass, and he's passed Enzo Holman.
We have a new leader, a lead change. Ellis Spezia gone up into the lead. The 7 of Enzo Holman now has to try and use that push to pass tactically. There's a lock up in front, and that is the 14 of Katie Turner going off down in the turn 1. Manages to rejoin back in front, though, of Oscar Pettersson. He will not be happy about that, because he's fighting for the lead. Now let's see if he's going to be able to get past Katie Turner in time. Katie Turner has had a moment in qualifying as well that put her right at the back of the field. And, well, she's had another moment down in the turn 1. The 3 of Linda's Grand Force also catching up to her now. Nicely letting him pass. That's great driving by Katie Turner. But Ellis Spezia, that has given him exactly what Ellis Spezia wanted. Look at the gap he's been able to create for himself. We're going to come across the line and see what that gap is. It's going to update right about now. Let's see what the gap is for Ellis Spezia. And it's 1.2 seconds in one lap.
Do you think Enzo Holman has used his push to passes yet? Did he use them in the beginning? Will he be able to get back up to Ellis' bumper and attack for the lead? We have 2 minutes to go of the race, so basically 2.5 laps to go of this second race of the NXT Gen Cup.
Now there was some confusion between the drivers in race number 1 about if it was 15 minutes plus 1 lap or just 15 minutes. Now, it was 15 minutes. They figured out afterwards. That's also why most of them didn't use their push to pass. They wanted to leave it to the last moment. Enzo Holman was one of those drivers. So I think that Enzo has done exactly the same as he's done last time round. By the way, Victor Nielsen has gone up into P7, gaining 11 positions in this race. Jonathan Engström is, well, caught back up with Siri Höckfeldt as well. He's going to go up into P8. He has gained quite some positions as well. Remember, he was all the way down on P14, and he's now just gone up into P8. The gap at the front of the field, though, still 1.2 seconds. Elias Adestam has got back up into P5 as well. A lot of drivers who had to fight their way back through the field. That's what you want, though, with a reverse grid.
That's exactly what you want. You want them to be able to, or to have to fight for their positions, and they clearly have to do. Adestam is going to get done a great job, P5 at the moment, and Louise Larsson here obviously fighting with Sebastian Kinmark, trying to find a way past the Tearshine car.
Now there's 1 minute left in this race. Last time we saw they came across the line with about 57 seconds to go, so that meant that they came across the line with 40 seconds to go, so that meant that there was another lap after that. But Ellis Spezia, I think, is now going to start the final lap of this race. And if Enzo Holman isn't close enough to try something down into the last corner or something, which it doesn't look like he is, the gap is still 1.2 seconds to Enzo Holman, then he is not going to be able to do anything about the Electric Renegades taking another victory, his first victory in the NXT Gen Cup in only the second race. The number 11, well, let's be honest, he's used his push to pass tactically. We know that Ellis is a very smart driver, has loads and loads of experience with electric cars, and it seems like he's going to put another race win in another race series on his CV. He's driven so impressively in this race. Enzo Holman, though, don't forget, a great drive from him as well. Had to come back to the field. Here we see Katie Turner going back into pit lane. Pit speed limiter is on, but the real story is out on track. Ellis Spezia, the Electric Renegade, puts another race victory on his CV, wins race number 2 at Falkenberg, and opens the season with another race win, and will probably go home in a top 3 position in the championship. Enzo Holman coming through in P2, a great race for him as well. Oscar Pedersen, a great race for him as well, finishing on the podium once again. The only driver today to finish on the podium twice, Louise Larsson, and this is Isaac Arvidsson going forward as well. Isaac Arvidsson, of course, coming from sim racing, is, well, he has experience in some real-life racing, but not in a racing competition, and he finished in P13. Isaac Arvidsson came, though, all the way back from P16, so a lot of drivers fighting their way through the field, but here we have Ellis Spezia. What a drive from him.
What a drive. Great. I think he did a great push-to-pass management, to be honest.
Yeah.
He kept his cool in the beginning, avoided traffic. Obviously, Alexander Christensen struggled. He gained pressure. He didn't have the pressure. He managed to overtake Enzo Holman and then just basically pull away. Well done.
Elias Arestam, though, finishing P5. Disappointing for him. I can imagine he'll be debriefing that, of course, going wide. Easily done. Better to take to the escape road than ruin your race and someone else's completely. So yeah, an amazing race. So then let's look at the complete rundown of the grids for this race. Ellis Spezia winning by a second, the biggest margin we've seen so far, and that tells something, though. The
biggest margin in any session, I would say, that we've done so far this year.
Enzo Holman coming through in second. Like I said, a second behind Ellis Spezia. Oscar Pedersen, then a second behind Enzo Holman. Linus Grunfors missing out this time on a podium, but another impressive drive from him. Elias Arestam fighting his way back from all the way down to P10 up to P5 through that race. Alex Gustafsson in P6. 7th, Victor Nielsen.
That's a great job.
What a race from that man. 11 positions gained. Really, really, really impressive. Jonathan Engström, also a lot of positions gained. 7 positions gained for him. 6, excuse me. I can't count. Like I said, never trust a commentator on his math. 6 positions gained for Jonathan Engström in P8. Great job from him. Siri Höckfeldt finishing at P9, where she did last time around as well in the last race. Theo Jernberg, a good race for him, but do you have to mention, though, started all the way up in P1, but basically after turn 1 he was already down in P6.
Yeah, I mean, sadly the mistake in turn 2 or whatever happened, he lost a lot of positions and then stuck in traffic. Obviously difficult to gain the momentum again to continue up the field. So obviously Sebastian Kinmark, P11, good job from him, also improving. Louise Larsson, P12 in the Hancock car, and Isaac Arvidsson starting on 16th position, now in 13th.
Well, Alexander Christensen, the hometown hero, though, we saw he had a problem of some sort. So sadly for him, wasn't able to get the result that he wanted at his home track. Philip Bartos in 16th. Katie Turner ended that race in pit lane like Måns Tallinn. Contact with Elias Arestam when Elias Arestam rejoined the track. We're going to have to see what the stewards say from that. But it was the race was so chaotic for Elias Arestam as well. So yeah, it's good for him to come back to the field. Sad, though, to see Måns Tallinn retire. So then, a bit of a roundup of that race. Here we had the starts. The Firefight lights were on the gantry. They went out. A good start for the pole sitter. Alexander Christensen did exactly what he needed to do at his home race. Not the race, though. Not the race start that Theo Jernberg was after. Immediately under attack from driver in P3 starting that race, Enzo Holman. Down on the turn 1, though. You can see the mistake that is going to happen. Is there contact? There is no contact between the two. It's just an oversteer moment from Theo Jernberg that gets him out of that race. Then it was Elias Arestam going wide down on the turn 1 very early on in the race, so had time to fight back. He finished in the end in P5, but had to fight them, made it so difficult for himself. And then here we see, watch the red and white car. That is Måns Tallinn. There is the contact. And you can see bodywork falling off of that car. This then, in the end, was the race-winning move, we can say afterwards, because this is where Ellis Spezia got up into the lead. Afterwards, the lead got retaken, though, by Enzo Holman, and he had to re-overtake him, though, with the tactical use of push to pass. Here we saw a 3-wide moment as well. Here is this wide moment for Sebastian Kinmark, looking up, though, into turn 1. Right in front of him was Jonathan Engström. Here we see the 19, though, of Alex Gustafsson going rally crossing in the NXT Gen Cup. Of course, used to that from his previous experiences, but not the way to go quick in this car, though. Did a bit of a joker lap that time round, though. Exactly,
not the quickest way to go about it.
But then here we go, the dummy, though, from Elias Arestam on Alex Gustafsson. Sold him the outside, went for the inside, and that was a great move from Elias Adestam to get up into P5, where he also finished this race. This then was Enzo Holman together with Ellis Spezia. This was where he caught up, and this was such an important moment in the race because Ellis, you can see here, was almost pushing Enzo Holman through those corners. It was so close between those two, and an amazing race between those two. In the end, it was Ellis Spezia, the electric renegade, putting another race win in another race series on his CV. He's got so much experience in electric cars, and that Schunk car finally saw a victory in this this weekend, and Ellis provided them with that.
We have a good group of Schunk employees and customers here today, so they will for surely be very happy at the podium.
Yeah. Well then, Frederick, a final goodbye then for today. What was your whole point of view on the weekend? Well then,
thanks for watching, everyone.
Yes, thank you very much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed it, and well, we'll see you at the next race weekend on the 27th, 28th and 29th of August at Oschersleben. Catch us then live on the NXT Gen Cup YouTube channel. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
För de i sista fältet.